Greetings of the day, my dear friends. This is Chax, once again simplifying what I do best. We are continuing with our discourse on the Indo-Pak story, and if you recollect, in the last two episodes, we generally spoke about the two-nation theory, how it was relevant and how it gave birth to the two nations, India and Pakistan. Pakistan founded on the principle that the Muslims needed a state for Muslims and they could not coexist with India. Having said that, and the fact that Pakistan did come into existence on the 14th of August 1947, the ulemas felt that they now have got what they wanted, an Islamic state, a pure Islamic state, and therefore they wanted to weed out anyone that they felt was not Muslim enough. The first target were the Ahmadiyas. The Ahmadiyas are a sect within the Islam, and the ulemas of Pakistan decided that they do not follow all the tenets of Islam, and therefore they must be declared a non-Muslim majority. This led to the Punjab disturbances in 1953 and the declaration of martial law on the 6th of March 1953. Post this, there was the Munir Kayani Commission that was appointed to go into the issue, and the Munir Kayani Commission was surprised, well, so was I, that no two ulemas could agree on a common definition of who is a Muslim. The nation, the country, the state capitulated and declared Ahmadiyas as a non-Muslim minority. This laid the foundation of the principal fault line in Pakistan, the fault line around Islam. While at one time people would have thought Islam would be their unifying factor, Islam became the divisive factor. So let's move into the topic for today, the fault lines of Pakistan. And very obviously, the fault lines would revolve around this aspect of who the Muslim is. And therefore, the first fault line is sectarianism. In my opinion, the other three are the economic crisis, the ethno-nationalism, and the Talibanization of Pakistan. Let's delve deeper into each of them one by one, spending a quick 2 minutes on all of them. Sectarianism essentially is a manifestation of the two-nation theory, wherein one set of Muslims feel the others are not good enough to be called Muslims. Essentially, like I said, this came down to the Ahmadiyas getting declared non-Muslim, and then the majority Sunni saying the Shias also should be discriminated against and they should be brought into the fold of the Sunnis. Right? The state took upon itself the right to declare what is blasphemy and who is a blasphemist and what should be the law against that, leading to the persecution of minorities, wherein any person can be declared a non-Muslim or a blasphemist and can even get killed. Right? So you have one big divide, the Shia Sunni. Within the Sunnis, you have the Dawoodi and the Deobandis and the Barelvis, among the other smaller ones thereafter that follow. Within Shias, the Ismaili Shias, the Dawoodi Bohras, the Ahmadiyas, the Zikris, the Nur Bakshis, well, the list is endless. Right? This leads us to the basic difference between each of them, and you would recollect almost every blast that happens, a suicide bomber that comes in, targets a Shia mosque, an Ahmadiyya mosque, Dawoodi Bohras, and they all do it at the places of worship because that is where all of them congregate for their prayers. Now, the other big difference is the difference between the Sindhis and the Muhajirs, but I will take this on subsequently in another section. Right? The Talibanization, well, this is essentially the Wahhabi Deobandi sects within the Sunni Muslim, but I will take this on subsequently when we talk in greater detail of Talibans. So what is the current status? Current status is the Shias feel powerless, especially after the 2013 elections, wherein PPP lost and the Shia, while smaller in number, were occupying higher government positions, which they have lost. The sectarianism in the Islamic world has raised its head much higher in Pakistan. And of course, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan has joined the Sunni outfits in targeting the Shias, the Ahmadiyyas, and the rest of them. The emergence of Daesh, which is the Islamic State, has further aggravated matters. Well, the economic crisis, the less I speak about it, the better it is. You know the state of Pakistan economically is pathetic, to say the least. At around $15 billion, its foreign exchange reserves will not even pay for 2 months' import. They are out with a begging bowl to China, to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, to the IMF. They have no option but to accept whatever they get, whatever terms they have to get. Right? And not much is happening, or even the Belt Road Initiative seems to be floundering in many places. So let's move on to the next big divide here, the fault line, which is ethno-nationalism. Essentially, you can look at Pakistan as 4 big buckets. The Sindh, which was the homeland for the Sindhis, the Baluchistan, homeland for the Baloch, the Pakhtoonstan, Fata, the homeland for the Pakhtoons and the other tribes, and Punjab, the Punjabis. Let's take one by one. The Baloch revolted in 1948 itself against being forced to join Pakistan. In 2005, the Buktis were targeted and the level of violence increased and increased dramatically, to the extent that today the Baloch fighters are, well, they rule the roost within the Baluchistan, and Pakistan army is trying its best to subdue them, not with great success. The federally administered tribal areas, Fata and Pakhtoonstan, are the hotbed for the Taliban. And this is an area, especially Fata, which is Waziristan area, the north and the south Waziristan, the government's writ does not run. It is the Mullahs, it is the tribes and their own tribal councils that rule the roost. Sindh is an interesting case. When the Muslims in Pakistan migrated from India to Pakistan as a creation, this essentially settled in Sindh province within Karachi. Karachi was the biggest city, the most modern, best job opportunities. The migrant Muslims were well educated, moneyed, and therefore they could take up good government positions. They were called Muhajirs. The Sindhis found their jobs going to the Muhajirs. To counter the dissatisfaction among the Sindhis and to attract the Muhajirs, Karachi city was taken out of Sindh province and was centrally or federally administered. Slowly, the amount of land of the Sindhis kept diminishing, and many Sindhis compare their state with Palestine. The Muhajirs became militant, weaponized themselves, and under the aegis of the MQM or the Muhajir Qawmi movement. Sindhis did exactly the same under the GS Sindh. The Baloach and the Pakhtoons who came into Karachi did exactly the same. So Karachi has 4 big sectors, one for each: the Sindhis, the Pakhtoons, the Baloch, and the Muhajirs. There's always a fight between each of them. And just as one example, in one raid, the amount of arms and ammunition that was captured needed 5 trucks to carry it. Right? There are other smaller people, smaller nationalities, the Hazaras, the Fikris, who are also seeking independence. Right? And therefore, these fault lines are only getting more and more acute. Talibanization, which is the final fault line in Pakistan, in my opinion, of course. If you look at it one way, Talibanization was inherent as far as the ideology of Pakistan is concerned. It was created for a pure Islamic state, governed by the Islamic laws, the Sharia, right? And therefore, Talibanization was inherent. The government of Pakistan actually promoted the formation of madrasas, the growing numbers of madrasas in the Fatah and the Pakhtunistan area, essentially to ensure that they could maintain some semblance of control over them. This issue got further aggravated after the 9/11 and the US bombing of Torapora and the Operation Anaconda, which happened thereafter. Right? This led to a large number of the Taliban fighters who were displaced from Afghanistan and they took refuge in the Fatah, and therefore they had to ensure that they remained relevant. To remain relevant, they started getting into Punjab and created enough and more disturbances there, attacks there, right from attacking the special forces to the police academy to the attack on the cricket team, all of them put together. Right? The situation is so dire that even to administer polio drops, the Pakistan army has to accompany the doctors. A number of operations have taken place against the Taliban. The Lal Masjid in June 2007, the Rahe-Rast and the Rahe-Nijat in 2009, the attack on PNS Mehran, and the Zarb-e-Adab, which happened from 2014 to 2016. In all of them, Pakistan used air power with abandon. Helicopter gunships, bombing by aircraft were the order of the day. They displaced over 1 million refugees, but they met limited success. Right? If all this was happening, very obviously the Pak army was getting Talibanized, Islamized as they went along. There are some points about it. Let's take just 2 examples from here. The attack on PNS Mahrain would not have happened where without inside connivance. They destroyed 2 P-3C Orions, only those Orions which are operational, and exactly the same Orions that were modernized. There was an attack on PNS Zulfikar in September 2014, wherein with the help of Pak Navy personnel and special forces, the Taliban actually wanted to capture PNS Zulfikar, which was at sea, sail it into the Persian Gulf, and with their weapons knock off a few American ships. God knows what would have happened if this was successful. Right? So where does that lead us? Well, that leads us to my next episode, which I will talk about in the next week. Essentially, these will border around the external threats as far as Pakistan is concerned, and more importantly, the importance of Kashmir, the relevance of Kashmir, and why is Pakistan so very aggressive as far as Kashmir is concerned. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you for listening, and this is Chax signing off, and please feel free to share, to like, to comment, and let me have your feedback. Thank you very much. Top of the day to you. Bye.